So I am a young-ish investor. I'm in my 30s, so I know logically I should be ramping up the risk, even though sometimes it's not comfortable. So I really make an effort to do that in my portfolio. I had a real clear out a couple of years ago. I sold everything and decided to start again. So a big whack of my portfolio is actually just in a global tracker fund, but then I use investment trusts to target some niche areas or more specific areas that I feel quite strongly about, but I think is difficult to capture in a tracker and where I want the manager's expertise. And I also do that through investment trusts. And something I should have mentioned before is because I think they tend to be slightly lower fee than an open ended fund in a lot of instances, not always. So, one trust that has done particularly well for me over the past year or so is the Ashoka India Equity Trust. I really like that it just does exactly what it says on the tin, and the management have some real expertise in that field. And I think last year, for example, all the talk was about the Magnificent Seven and the S&P, and my India Trust outswept all of them. I think it's a really fast growing economy, a really interesting demographic, and actually, I only wish I'd invested in it earlier. I remember first hearing about this trust at a conference about 10 years ago and thinking, oh, that's really interesting. And it's done really well. I've probably missed the boat and then not investing and then watching for years while it continued to do well. So I finally bit the bullet and invested in that. And more recently, very recently, in fact, I've added a Japan trust to my portfolio, um, because I think Japan's been really overlooked for a while by investors. I think we hear the same story about Japan trotted out year after year, stagflation and a slow growing economy and an aging population. But actually, once you separate a country's economy from its stock market, you realize there's an awful lot of opportunities. And that is another area where I think having a manager, and for me, seeking out a manager who is on the ground in Japan rather than doing it from the US or a UK office, I'm hoping that that will yield some good returns for me.